It's obvious that we're all going to run into some kind of problems. We fall ill, we get injured, we have accidents. So what are you going to do when a tragedy strikes or a big obstacle gets in your way? So the thing you must do when you encounter some sort of issue or problem is you must acknowledge and face that problem. It's generally very detrimental to not face your issues or not acknowledge them. If you encounter some sort of problem, you really need to address it and recognize it as a problem. Call it out by name, make it something real. That way it becomes something you can tackle instead of some unknown specter. If you don't address your problems, you run the risk of turning something bad into something worse. One great way to address your problem is to really stop and think about what your problem really is. It's easy to have an emotional reaction when there's some sort of adversity that you have to address. Problems we run into are often like puzzles or challenges if they're significantly complex. So stopping to think about what the puzzle is, what the pieces are, and where they might go can really help you understand it a lot better. And in doing so, you may find that your problem isn't quite as big as it seemed. You just may have had an emotional reaction that made it seem much worse. And if the problem's significantly more trivial than you thought it was, maybe it's not even something you need to worry about as much after all. The key here is, though, that you're still addressing it. You're stopping to think about it and consider whether it is something that's a big deal or not. Now, this sort of thinking isn't sort of what-if thinking. It's more about the specific variables that have to do with the problem. What is the source or sources of the problem? How long can I wait to address this problem? What are the consequences of this problem now and later if I have to wait to address it, for instance? You want to make sure you formulate rational questions, not emotional ones, and not what-if questions. A lot of our anxiety from different challenges and problems we face in life can come with the unknown. And part of that comes from fear of the unknown. It's a very natural human instinct. We generally fear what we don't understand and what we don't know. So taking the time to think about and try to understand your problem is a great way to get past that fear and to get past many fears in life. And when you do the sort of analytical thinking that's required to sort of break down a problem into various variables or various answered questions, you're making it less personal. You're removing yourself from it. Another way you can do that is to sort of think about the problem more abstractly, such as what is it that this problem looks like when it's happening to somebody else? To which you might say, "But it's happening to me! You can't understand my truth! You don't know me!" But that's the point exactly. Making a problem less personal means that the problem isn't your problem anymore, it's a problem. Most of our general problems aren't unique personal problems, they're actually just part of the human experience, something any other person who could get slotted into our space could deal with. By abstracting the problem, you make it simpler. You turn it from a complex personal problem that you don't really understand to maybe something more akin to a word problem or a math problem. And most of us can handle at least one of those types of problems. Alright, another strategy for dealing with different problems and adversity, different obstacles, is trying to talk to somebody that has experienced your problem about the problem. If the problem is particularly complex and you really can't wrap your head around it, or your emotions are way too invested in it and you just can't abstract it, it can be a really great idea to talk to somebody who's experienced it. For one, they may be able to help ease your emotions a little bit. Having somebody to relate to talk to about your problem can really bring you some relief. Additionally, it's possible that they've already found a strategy for dealing with this problem. When problems are particularly complex or involve a lot of deep emotions, there can be a lot of pain and struggle in coming up with a solution to the problem. That short-term pain and struggle could make you stronger. However, if there's already a ready-made solution to it, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. You can really save yourself some time and headache by reaching out to somebody that you trust that genuinely has a good solution to the problem. Now, you might want to be careful about that because you don't necessarily want to take somebody else's ready-made solutions. It is possible that somebody has come up with a solution for the problem, but it's not necessarily a good one. People develop a lot of long-term strategies for dealing with or coping with problems, but not actually getting rid of them. So just be sure whatever solution you do find from others is genuinely a good one. Test it out a bit. Don't just run it blindly ad infinitum without any sort of check or balance. But if you do know somebody who's genuinely gotten past an issue that you're now dealing with, talking to them about it, relating to them, having them help you get the solution for it can also be a really great bonding moment in addition to fixing the problems. Alright, so let's talk about your attitude when you have to deal with different problems or issues that arise. So there are some problems that we can address, and there are some problems that there isn't something we can do directly about them. Because we are mortal, finite creatures, there are a lot of problems that are completely out of our control, either due to chaos or sheer scale. And sometimes you have to acknowledge that there isn't something you can do directly about a problem because it's way too big or complex. One of the ways to address these sorts of problems is to learn to cope with them so you can develop a strategy for dealing with it, even though it may continue to be present or be something you can't directly change. One of the worst ways to deal with these sorts of problems is to complain, agonize, and worry about them. You know, like almost everyone does. Hey, Lee, the boss wants you to finish this job in like an hour. What? I can't do that. My boss is terrible. My job is terrible. Life is terrible. Now, it turns out the best way to address these sorts of problems is to take a completely opposite route. Instead of rejecting your problems, you need to accept them. Hey, Lee, the boss wants you to finish the job in an hour. Good. What? Good. The boss is telling me the company's priorities, and now I know what to focus on the most. This optimistic outlook is really one of the best ways of dealing. Instead of looking at your problems or obstacles as problems and obstacles, you instead look at them as opportunities. You say, good, I'm glad that's happening. Here's what I can turn it into. Just saying that alone gets you just so much more hyped to do what you gotta do. And it helps you to stop and think. It helps you to create a solution to something that you may not have had immediately offhand. It makes you feel positive and optimistic about what you're doing. And it removes that unknown aspect, that thing that makes us fear and worry in the first place. Now, doing this can be very difficult. It actually takes practice to be able to get good at saying good to your problems, especially if you're somebody like me who's fairly high in trait neuroticism psychologically. But once you do this enough, it gets easier and you feel better about doing it. And also, you essentially build a mindset that allows you to navigate adversity much better. Life itself is a struggle anyway, and so building a mindset that turns the bad into good, turns adversity into opportunity, all of life essentially becomes an opportunity for you. Now, I can't completely take credit for some of these last points. A lot of that were my own notions about it, but the idea of directly saying good to your problems actually comes from a big mentor of mine. I learned about him through YouTube. His name's Jocko Willink. He's a former Navy SEAL commander. He's been a huge help to me, and I highly recommend you check him out. I'll actually put a link to his good video into the description of this one. And the last aspect of dealing with your problems, dealing with adversity that I want to address is making sure that when you experience some sort of problem, some challenge, something that kind of stops you in your tracks, while you're working on that, do not stop your program. Whatever routines you have, whatever order you've built for yourself, whatever positivity you've built up in your life for yourself, your friends, your family, you absolutely need to maintain that. You cannot let your problems completely overwhelm you and your structure. If you do neglect your routines in lieu of addressing the issue at hand, you will end up creating a lot more issues, which will put you in a much worse situation. So make sure to stick to your routines. Keep on going to the gym. Keep on cooking and preparing your meals. Keep up with the housework. Stay on the program. Well, I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you feel like I've missed something or you have your own special strategies that seem to work, something that I haven't addressed here, please put it in the comments. Also, make sure to click like on the video, the little thumbs up symbol, if you think I'm doing okay. It helps the video get more traction with YouTube's algorithm so more people could see it and hopefully get some help. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Take care.